Oh, hey, we're live.
Yep.
We've already got 2 viewers. One of them is me because I'm cheating.
Yeah.
What's up, guys? It is Sunday. Okay. Well, I'll be glad when we get this equipment stuff situated. So we got some new equipment. We still haven't got the mic, man. Still haven't got the mic. Still haven't got the new webcam. The webcam is a wide angle webcam, so we don't have to practically sit on each other's laps. So
I mean, in the meantime, I can use you for a footrest, right?
I mean, if that's what you want to do. I mean, I don't think that's really appropriate. Well, that logo above my face is driving me nuts. But it's whatever, man. I'm not going to cry about it too much. Well, let's see. As y'all can see, I'm wearing my Alabama shirt because Alabama's going to the playoffs again. I don't know how the hell they did it, dude. They were number 8. They were number 8. They beat number 1, and then Georgia just disappears off the planet. Like it's like they just didn't have a good season at all. Like they're like Michigan. So Michigan plays Alabama at the Rose Bowl in the first round. Yeah. So Alabama's going back to Pasadena. Last time they were there, they won. Last time they were in the Rose Bowl, they won. So that's a plus. Cowboys won. Let's see. That's all the sports talk I got. So
yeah, it's about all I got sports-wise.
We suck at this.
At least sports, not wrestling.
I'm not really. I mean, so here's the thing. I'm a sports guy to an extent. Like, my dad was a Cowboys fan, a Rangers fan, a Mavericks fan, an Alabama fan because he grew up in Alabama. He literally lived across the street from Legion Field in Birmingham when Alabama played at Legion Field. So, he's a lifelong Alabama fan. So the word war, eagle never happens, never would happen in our house. So it is what it is at that point. But, oh, wow. I got volume coming through my phone. Let's see.
This upcoming week, Offshoots Hall of Fame.
Oh, yeah. On Thursday at, what time does he go? 9?
8, 9.
Yeah, somewhere around there. He might go on a little bit early. In case y'all don't know, the Offshoots Network is run by basically somebody that really helped spearhead me getting back into the wrestling business through podcasting, as a matter of fact. It's Trey McLean. If you don't know who he is, it's fine. Go check him out. I don't have their logo. That's the one thing I forgot to pull up. But our guest, if I'm not mistaken, our guest is nominated this year.
Is he?
I think so. I'll have to double check, but I think so. I'm pretty sure. I know he's gotten Manager of the Year.
Oh yeah,
Offshoots Network Manager of the Year. So any type of general recognition is actually pretty cool. So still don't.
I know this year that they're inducting Silver into the Hall of Fame. And
look at Chris Hicks trying to get brownie points with that Roll Tide.
Like I was saying, this year they're inducting Jason Silver into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, rightfully so too.
And I will be speaking on his behalf.
Okay. So y'all be sure to tune in on Thursday. Look it up, Offshoots Network or Trey McLean. It's pretty decent. I can pull it up real quick and see if I can find it. Y'all just give me a second. Shawn, talk to the audience.
I'll be speaking on Silver's behalf, and obviously my family's. I think I've got something to say that I haven't got to publicly say yet, but I've said it to all of our friends, and I think it'll be something to hear.
I'm sorry. Well, this is riveting.
Yes, it is.
Sorry, guys.
In the meantime.
Oh, yeah. So speaking of podcasts and people that we want to give a shout out to, I'd like to give a shout out to the Midcard Heroes podcast. You can hear them on Spotify. That is AC Slade and Handsome Rex. One of our viewers, Chris Hicks, was actually on that show not too long ago. And I was super, super, super impressed with Chris Hicks and his ability to carry himself in an interview as a fan.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's
if you haven't listened to it, you really need to listen to it.
Carrying yourself in an interview is one of the harder things to do.
It really is. It is absolutely one of the hardest things to do.
You know as well as I do, if you can't talk, then
oh yeah, if you can't talk, you're screwed.
Oh yeah.
I'm still. Oh yeah.
Next up, Retro Pro Wrestling. You were telling me about this.
Okay, so
tell me a little bit more.
I just kind of went down a rabbit hole today. Like this just popped up in my feed, and it was Kevin Von Erich versus a one-man gang in a Chicago street fight in Chicago.
Oh
yeah, and so I started kind of thumbing through all this stuff, and I found a plethora of world-class championship wrestling matches. There's some stuff from Japan. So I have a Twitch channel. It's under Referee Carl Knight. Everything's pretty much under Referee Carl Knight. Make it easy to find. But I'm going to start doing some Twitch streaming with that because when Xanthi is working, I'm bored.
Yeah.
I'm bored. I can't watch TV. I mean, I can, but because I've got a Roku remote with a headphone jack in it.
Oh, yeah.
But it wears the battery down.
Oh.
Like quickly. Like
so
2 or 3 days of watching that.
You told me that on Retro Pro that you had found a match with Chris Adams.
Yeah, heel Chris Adams. Yeah, it was like 1983. It was heel Chris Adams against Kevin Von Erich, and it actually Kevin Von Erich got disqualified.
What?
Yeah, he got DQ'd because Chris Adams had brought in. Remember the small little rope that they had, the barricade?
I mean, I've seen pictures of it. I can't say that.
So at the Sportatorium, they had like tires, wheels,
right,
with poles in them, and they just had this little, I mean, not even a quarter of an inch diameter in ropes around it. Take that down. It's getting on my nerves. But so you know, it was real small, and they got used all the time. The ropes got used all the time.
Yeah.
And so Chris had brought it in, and Kevin had got it away from him, wrapped around him. Bronco Lubitsch called for the bell and disqualified Kevin. Now, one of the things that I was noticing is the ring announcing. It was Mark Lawrence in some of them, in most of them actually. It's just kind of really bland, you know. And I like Mark Lawrence. He was a great commentator. He was a great contribution to World Class Championship Wrestling. I believe Bill Apter was doing all the commentary by himself way before Joey Styles ever even thought about doing commentary by himself.
Yeah.
Probably before Joey Styles was, you know, even thinking about wrestling. So, but yeah, so I'm just going to like go down these rabbit holes. I might pull up some of my matches that I've worked. I may even go as far as pulling up matches that I wrestled in. I might have to pull Richter on that one. It's bad, dude. You want to talk about shit wrestling. So, yeah. So, as soon as I go live, like I said, go to Twitch TV and just search Referee Carl Knight. Also, make sure you pull up Aaron Mercer, because when he does his watch-alongs, those are really fun.
Oh, yeah. I watched one of them.
Did you watch the one?
I watched part of it.
With Ruben Still, or did you watch the one with Colt Cabana?
I think it was
The Birth of the Nipples.
Yeah.
That was fun. That was fun to watch. So, yeah, make sure you, excuse me, make sure you give Aaron Mercer will follow. Man, there's so many guys out there. Nastico, he plays Fortnite, and then he likes to hand out people's butts. And notice I said butts, and I'll explain that here in a minute because normally I would say asses. That's probably the only cuss word I'm going to say tonight for a particular reason. But yeah. So I mean, you got. I mean, almost. I'd say about half of the wrestling community is on Twitch.
Oh yeah.
For one way or another.
Oh yeah.
For one reason or another.
I mean, I know Sky's on there, and he gets on.
Oh yeah.
And he gets on at like 11 in the morning.
I'm at work.
Yeah.
What's Sky do? Is he playing games?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
There's some days where he's just chatting, but most of the time, yeah, he's playing games.
I just want to do watch-alongs because I just like watching wrestling, and if I can, bring some of the younger guys like Chris Hicks and hell, even Langley for that matter.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of, shout out to Langley McClendon. I wouldn't say he made his in-ring debut, but he did have a nice little spot in a cage match last night at CWF in Fayette, Texas. His mom posted a clip of him throwing a nasty clothesline on Aaron Eagle. So that was pretty cool to watch. That's somebody that you want to keep your eye on in the future. Yeah. That's literally the future of our business right there.
And Barrett's done a fantastic job with him. I get to hear updates about it every week, and Barrett's always like, Langley blew my mind today. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that kid's amazing. He's got a great support system.
He's got a great passion as well.
So speaking of support system, let's go ahead and pop this up. We do have a sponsor now. Now this is Redcon Restoration, Roofing and Restoration. If you have hail damage to your roof, they can actually come out and give you an estimate. But our main focus is the car restoration, paintless dent repair.
Yes, the paintless dent repair.
So I'm gonna let Shawn talk about that because this is actually the company that he works for. So
it's paintless dent repair, hail damage. Working on opening a body shop for you get sideswiped in a collision, things like that. Do waive deductibles up to $1,000, as well as free rentals. We don't charge your insurance.
Free's good.
Yeah. So if you don't have rental coverage, there's your out to get it done without paying an arm and a leg. We do offer is the word concierge service?
Concierge.
That word.
Consigliere.
You file the claim under hail damage, and then we'll bring the free rental to you, pick up your vehicle, fix it, and then we'll bring it back.
Now this goes under a no fault claim, right?
Correct, because it's
an act of God.
It comes with
no fault claims are so much easier to get around the red tape.
Oh yeah.
I used to do windshield repair, so it was nothing. It was absolutely nothing.
And all of our work does come with a lifetime warranty. So if we fix some hail damage or door dings or whatever the case may be, if they pop themselves back in because of stress or whatever, then we own up to our work. We do outsource our paint and body currently. We employ 3 or 4 certified technicians.
Okay.
So they all know what they're doing. We don't just have, Joe off the street doing it. And we do offer a $250 referral fee. So if any of your friends or family call, then that's, they say that you sent us, that's $250 in your pocket.
Oh, sweet.
Yep.
Sweet. So give them that phone number, buddy.
You can call me at 972-903-1255, or just reach out to me on Facebook, and we'll get everything sorted out.
Free estimates.
Yes, free estimates. I'll come out, take a look at it, tell you if it's worth doing or not. I can tell you now, all vehicles 2016 or newer, there's a very high chance that it's almost impossible to tow.
Why is that?
Just because of the valuation of them,
Oh, okay,
the way the
okay.
market is.
Okay.
So if you were driving through a hailstorm and got beat, to crap, you don't have to worry about it being totaled because as long as it doesn't go over the value of your vehicle, then you're in the safe zone.
Oh, okay.
But Redcon Roofing and Restoration was gracious enough to sponsor our podcast.
And we thank them. We thank them very much. Let's see. See that little QR code? Pop that back up for a second. If you want to, you might be able to scan that little QR code. I don't know how that works.
Yeah. So that QR code gives you the option to either go to our website or
what is that website?
redconrnr.com.
That's Redcon R&R.
No, RNR.
RNR.com. Not and.
Or it'll give you the option to call my boss directly.
Oh, okay. So, alrighty. Now that we got that out of the way.
How was your week, Carl?
Well, I didn't try to shoot anybody.
I didn't try to either.
I wasn't presented with the opportunity to possibly shoot somebody.
Hey. According to Facebook, that'll be considered an act, intent to commit violence.
I wasn't presented the option to pull a pew-pew. Is that better?
I think Facebook might appreciate that.
I actually saw a whole. There was an ad for the crazy gun dealer.
I know.
In
I've heard it. They changed.
Oh my god, dude! That was we got all these pew-pew machines.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
So, let's talk about your situation with your highly intoxicated neighbor.
So, I think it was Wednesday night. I think. Don't quote me. Maddie and I were dead asleep. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning, and my dogs are going crazy. And you know how they are. They're the sweetest. They're hyper, but they're the sweetest,
Yeah, my dogs are the same way. Somebody even coughs outside, every dog in the house goes ballistic.
Yeah, see, mine don't do that, but mine were going crazy like they're about to tear somebody a new one. And I sat up and like, what the hell? And I realized my front door was open. And I'm
listening.
I grabbed my pew-pew and, from my bedroom called out for whoever was there to identify themselves. And it turned out to be my neighbor. I asked him, what the hell he was doing. And he said that he was drunk. So I put the pew-pew away and I told him to get the hell out of my house.
So he got in the house?
Well, not like completely, like 1 foot.
My dad did that one time. Like he got turned around at a hotel and he was intoxicated. My dad was a raging alcoholic, but yeah, he was intoxicated and decided that the hotel room next to us was our hotel room, and he was just bloody murder, just beating, like cop knocking that door, and I heard what was going on, and by the time I got out there, the guy that was in the room was already arguing with my dad about this ain't your room, and I walked over and I said, I got it, man. I pulled my dad to safety because my dad was one of the types, he could talk a good game, but he couldn't play for squat. So, yeah, it's one of those things. Like, luckily I didn't learn that last tactic. I don't even like talking the game, but if you want to play.
So, any more interesting RV adventures this week? Remodels?
I'm still working on the one. I rebuilt the floor in that bathroom area. Okay. The original existing structure had 2x2s.
Right.
Well, so I went and got 2x2s and I tied them in, and I've got one spot that there's just flexed, and I don't like it. So, I mean, it's got 1/2 inch form, OSB forming on it and stuff like that. So, I mean, you'd have to go out of your way to go through it, but you can go through it. So tomorrow, I'm going to take all that out and I'm going to enforce it or reinforce it with 2x4s instead of 2x2s because I mean it's just, I'm going to put the actual joist hangers on the floor joists and I'm just going to build a suspended floor the way it's supposed
Basically
to be.
A pier and beam without the piers.
I mean, I can put piers in it, but I don't want to. That's
I'm saying that style.
Yeah. Basically, I mean, the manufactured homes and stuff like that. Same setup. I mean, these RVs are put together, with no regard to the customer or the people that are going to be using it for the next, 5 to 10 years or
I don't know.
years.
Mine was built pretty.
Well, I also know that these things aren't designed to live in long term.
Well, I mean,
they're definitely not.
Mine's a 2018.
Yeah. So
and they've changed the way they build them a lot. Just like older manufacturer homes had 2x2s in them as well.
Yeah. Now the newer manufactured homes, especially the double wides and the triple wides.
Yep.
I mean, that's a house.
Oh yeah.
That's a house on wheels.
Yeah. You just got to have the right truck.
But like a single wide, single wides are still kind of thrown together haphazardly. So it is what it is on that end. So as far as work goes, I've been dealing with IT, internet issues all for the last 3 days. So that's been a giant headache too. But I go into this with a little bit of caution because I'm not crying about it or anything like that. But a lot of people know me that do know me know that my teeth is a very sensitive issue for me.
Yeah.
Well, with Xanthia's job, we went ahead and signed up for dental insurance for both of us. So finally, and a lot of my tooth issues are predisposed medical issues that were just going to happen. And then the other percentage of it is this right here. There it is, Mountain Dew. So I want that sponsor though. I want that money. I want that Pepsi money.
I think we both do.
I know, right? We could actually get some good guests in here.
Get you a Mountain Dew backdrop?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'll put a Mountain Dew Code Red backdrop up there and I don't even drink that crap. But anyway, so my teeth are, if people have imperfections, like a birthmark on their face or something like that, it's a big insecurity.
Oh, yeah.
So, like I said, some of it's my fault, some of it's not my fault, neither here nor there. But went to the dentist on Wednesday. Got impressions made for dentures.
Okay.
So I will have some shiny teeth. They asked me what color I wanted. I'm like, white, just white. And they're like,
hold on,
how white? I'm like, white.
Hold on, I'll get.
Oh, there's Nigel.
I got two things I'll get to. First, how did the molding process go?
So they take this little plastic tray and they put this plaster. At first, it's like a gel, but then it turns into a white plaster.
Right.
And what they do is they take this tray and they shove it as far back down your throat as humanly possible, almost like a COVID test.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then they press on your gag reflex, which I have, by the way. I wasn't aware that I had that. And then they encourage you to breathe through your mouth or breathe through your nose while your mouth is wide open, while you're gagging on this plastic tray. So I'm sitting there going, like, I've got spit running all down my bib. And she's like, just breathe through your nose. I'm like with my mouth wide open. I'm like, okay. So, it was a very unpleasant experience, but in the long run, once I get my pearly whites, it'll be worth it. Like I'm super excited about it. Like I guarantee I'll probably cry.
Second, what were the color options?
They range anywhere from really bad coffee stains to just white.
Oh, I thought you could. I thought like they were gonna give you like purple or red or.
Oh, you want me
something
walking
stupid.
around looking like Tekashi 6ix9ine? No.
Get you a whole rainbow.
Yeah, no. I don't want no damn rainbow teeth. I want it like as white as possible. Like, and like literally, they brought me 2 samples of the whitest they had. And it wasn't white enough. Like I want Ross Geller white from Friends. I don't know if you ever saw that episode where he got his teeth bleached.
Yeah.
And then a black light came out. That's what I want. I want my teeth to shine in the dark under a black light. That's what I want.
Well, if you'd smile more rather than frown more, maybe they would.
I frown because I don't have any teeth.
Or because you're a Grinch. It is the holiday season.
That is true. Well, I see Nigel in the background laughing his butt off, so let's go ahead and bring this gentleman on. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you're aware of this, but Nigel Rabid is like 275th in line if all hell breaks loose in England to take over the crown. So
not only is he 275th in line, he is also one of the best managers
by far.
in Texas wrestling right now.
By far. So let's go ahead and bring our distinguished guest on, the governor. What's up, Nigel?
What's up, lads? I think it's a bit steeper than 279. But if
we were trying to give you some credit.
Well, no, I appreciate it, but I don't want anybody to start, taking out the royal family, to try and get me to the crown. It's got to be like a severe King Ralph situation, like family, extended family, people that they don't even talk about or want to admit are family.
Corpse. Margaret Thatcher's corpse ahead of you.
Mrs. Thatcher was not in the family line, and being a corpse, she's not really in line for succession once she's dead. I mean, that's how that works.
Fair. I don't know how this stuff works. I don't know how royalty works.
Right? No, it's not like American politics where you can be dead and you can still vote. It's a different thing.
They've got integrity. The parliament has integrity.
No one ever said anything about that. No.
Oh, okay.
Not ascribing anyone in politics, and no offense to the royal family, not ascribing the royal family to integrity. They're human beings just like the rest of us.
Okay.
And it's all limited.
All right. Well, we've got an open forum with questions, and the first question is going to be from Donald Payton, Shawn's brother, and Donnie would like to know between him and Shawn, who's your favorite son, and why is it him?
I didn't know that Donnie was officially accepting my parentage. I always thought that Donnie's response was, "Nah, not Nigel." He spent so much of his small youth with this expression on his face.
What are you talking about?
Well, anytime he was talking to me, it's.
I can see that. Anytime you talk to anybody.
I love all my boys equally. That's if anybody wants to buck for top son. They're going to have to fight my cat Amun-Ra.
Oh, I'm not fighting a cat.
So that means I'll take number 2, right?
I mean, I'll let you guys sort it out how you want to sort it out.
Because I'm not in that line too.
I'm not a dad that plays favorites. Don't forget, you also have to deal with your brother Christopher. I mean, it's really very messy. This whole family line.
What about Skip?
My nephew Skipworth. He's my nephew.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Chris Hickson's got a good question. He says, "I'd never asked you to pick your favorite son, but who's your favorite Rabid Empire debut?"
My favorite debut?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I rather. Are we talking about company debut or debut of talent?
Talent. I mean, we all know Christopher Hayden is the crown jewel
Yes.
of the
Yes,
Rabid
he's the
Empire.
crown jewel of the Rabid Empire.
But
I
you've
think
also had
my
Crimson and Jax Dane.
I was actually
and
going to say I
Charlie
think my favorite
Haas.
I think my favorite is Crimson and Jax Dane in our debut together at SWE at
That was nice. That's why
Eddie
I was
Dean's.
glad you sent me that video. So
Yeah.
So-
that was a lot of fun. And then followed very closely. I think Crimson actually has created one of my favorite memories in professional wrestling, because when we did the SWE show, that was the thing they were calling the North Texas Fan Fest
Yeah.
at the Las Colinas Convention Center.
I remember
And
that.
so yeah, everybody who pays attention to anything that I do, they know that Bobby Heenan's my favorite manager and commentator. But they may not know that one of my favorite talkers in the business is Kevin Nash. Kevin was at that show, and I was actually lucky enough to have my booth right next to his during the Fan Fest. And so, we did a little bit of chit chatting, because he was very, very busy with people coming in.
Of course, yeah.
And then at the beginning of the taping, he comes out and cuts a promo for the company, and then that's him done for the evening. And then 2 matches in that taping, we go out as a part. We go out, and when I say we, it's Crimson, Jax Dane, and Andrew Anderson. And not only did Tony Snow, who was running sound at the time, be so kind as to play my regular entrance music, the edited remixed version of Queen's "Give Me a Prize," but Crimson was actually wearing his Imperialist T-shirt. No one else was wearing their shirt. Crimson was. And going out with Jax and Crimson in full regalia, I can't express what that means to me. One, it's a show one of my very favorite wrestlers, favorite talkers in the business, just cut a promo at the top of the episode, and then we come out on that episode. My entrance music for the first time in SWE's history, the copywritten music is playing over the sound system, and it just felt perfect. It really did. And then Andrew Anderson goes and ruins it by punching me in the face later that match.
Well, you probably deserved it, though.
I did not.
I've seen you earn getting punched in the face multiple times.
Look, just because you never pay attention to the Floor is Lava game doesn't mean that you're right all the time.
You know the story about the Floor is Lava?
No,
okay,
I
so we're at Texoma. All right, we're working at Texoma. It's probably one of the first times I've worked. Whoa. I wouldn't say it's the first time I worked at Texoma, but so Nigel's trying to pull his securing a victory for his, and I'm up there, he's
facilitating victory.
Yeah, facilitating victory. And so he hops up on there, and I'm telling him to get out. He goes, I can't. I'm like, come on. He goes, the floor is lava, Carl. And I'm like, son of a bitch. Like, I don't know what it is. So finally he gets down. He gets down.
It wasn't just one, the floor is lava. It's Nigel, get down. No, Nigel, get down. 1, get down. No, 2, get down, Nigel. I can't. 3, why not? 4, the floor is hot lava.
Yeah.
Get the fuck down, Nigel. Just get down.
Like, you're killing me, dude. Like, and I had the hardest time. Like, and I was telling Shawn this on our beta test show, that I have a hard time working with my friends,
right?
Because they're always trying to break me, and 99% of the time it's going to happen. They're going to break me. Charlie Haas broke me almost every single time after the first time I worked with him. The first time I worked with Charlie, I was terrified. The second time I worked with him, okay. The third time I worked with him, it was against Jake Logan. And then Jake Logan pulls off while they're about to square up. He starts doing this. He's like, all right, let's go. And then Charlie looks at me and he goes, lock up with me. I'm like, okay. I locked up with Charlie Haas. And then ever since then, anytime I work with a friend, it's hard not to get broken, just to break character, especially Barrett, Brown. That guy, like, he's got it out for me or something. Like, I've had tears in my eyes working with him before. I've had tears in my eyes working with you too. So, like, we're just like, anytime I'm admonishing him and he's telling me something, he's telling me something funny. Go ahead.
So this is a time honored tradition. Because I can't tell you how many times riding in the car, like when we go to Louisiana to Full Throttle Wrestling, and I'd have Tim Storm APOC and James Beard in the car, and I would listen to Tim and APOC talk about how they're trying to make each other laugh during the match actively.
Mm-hmm.
And they do it because they're they're friends, and I'm just gonna mess with you. I'm gonna mess with you. It's gonna be fun. So yeah, I'm just gonna mess, especially if I know that you know how to do your job, and
Yeah.
I know that you know how because I don't really mess with a whole lot of referees today, not because they don't know how to do their job, but because not a lot of them are as comfortable as say you are, Carl.
Right.
And so if I mess with them, that can throw everything off for them and ruin the match, and then it'd be my fault.
Right.
Whether or not anybody actually keyed in, it was me that did it. But
you got it back up. My bad.
Sorry. I made
was my
the
bad,
referee
guys.
laugh. I'm sorry, mates. I didn't mean it.
Well-
I didn't know that he would find it funny when I told him that he was, he was wearing Mike Fox's commemorative nose. It's I miss Chris Knowlton. God love him. Oh, that's probably my favorite. It's my favorite. Next to the floor is hot lava. I think it's my favorite time messing with a referee, because it was Chris Hayden and Chance Taylor in a match, and they collided in a corner in a way that Hayden fell back, and then and Chance fell forward and landed headfirst into Hayden's crotch. So basically a headbutt to the groin. And Hayden's selling, and so I'm losing my mind. Disqualify this man, disqualify him, low blow, disqualify. And Chris was he's such a sweet fellow, and Chris is just kind of like, Nigel, I can't. It was an accident, Nigel. Nigel's like, I'm gonna get your license. I'm gonna have your ponytail, your Mike Fox commemorative nose. Is it? And he just goes, Nigel, shut up.
Oh Lord! Hey, I don't know if you noticed, but Shawn and I we're doing this little gimmick where we're trying to come up with iconic male duos. If you look at the name, our names are Freddie and Brian tonight. So
right, I like it.
We did that in your honor.
Appreciate it.
He's Freddie, just so you know.
another good
reflex.
Another good pairing in that would also have been Freddie and Roger.
Okay.
Because Freddie and Roger were really, really very close friends.
Well,
not that he and Brian weren't.
I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. The members of Queen that I know are Freddie Mercury and Brian May. So,
well, I'm gonna tell you right now. Go look up if you've got Spotify. Go look up Roger Taylor and listen. They have his entire. They've got his whole discography, but they've got his whole discography in the form of, they released in 2014, 2015, a box set called The Lot. And The Lot has every solo album that he's ever done and the 3 albums with his side project band, The Cross. And then it has the rest of the albums that he's done since. It's a really smashing box set.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'll definitely try to check some of that out. So I like good music. So
It's definitely good music. It's definitely
I
good
like
music.
good music.
You
Speaking of-
mentioned good friends whenever you're talking about Freddie and Roger. Tell us how you ended up with one of Skandar Akbar's headpieces.
That wasn't something that was given to me directly by Ack. I wish it was. But it was something that I'd been trying to work at Texoma Pro for a while at this point. And when they were doing Oklahoma shows, I didn't bother bringing any of my gear with me because I wasn't licensed in Oklahoma, and so I knew I couldn't work. So I went ahead and I just went up to the show and just come hang out, maybe help run sound with my ex-wife and that kind of thing, and Robert Langdon comes and grabs me. He goes, "Hey, we're going to use you tonight," and I'm like, I don't have a license. And he goes, no, I already talked to the commission. The commission says it's okay. As long as you don't get in the ring and you don't touch anybody, you're good. We're going to use you tonight. I'm like, I didn't bring any of my gear because I'm not licensed in this state. He goes, don't worry about it. We're going to put you with, put you with Al Farrat, and we'll talk to Al. And Al brings me a headdress. And Al says, he goes, I got this from Ack, and I want you to have it, and want you to, I want you to wear it. And that's where that strange picture of me wearing a headdress in my distressed canvas sports coat, wearing a Lord of the Ring T-shirt. It's like the only time you see a professional picture of me wearing pop culture merchandise.
So you straight phoned it in that day, huh?
Well,
you didn't have much of a choice, did you?
I didn't have. I mean, I did my job. I just didn't know that my job was to bring my. I mean, and and it kills me because Ack always literally leaving the venue, talking to my ex-wife all during the night. I kept saying is Ack always says, always bring your gear, always bring your gear, and I didn't bring my gear, and this is so. I wear the headdress out and I'm, I do that with the match. And at the end of the night, I go to give it back to Al. And Al looks at me and goes, no, you keep it. And I went, okay. And so I tucked it in my bag, and I keep it in my bag for the odd occasion where it makes sense to break it out.
Right.
That's where the lovely picture of Jason and I with me wearing it, but I've got it done up in the I can't remember the name of the political figure. It'll come to me eventually. But
probably at midnight when you're trying to sleep.
Right, it'll be 3 a.m. Oh, it was this fella.
I gotta call Carl.
I gotta
call me at 3 o'clock in the morning.
No, you already gave me permission. Everybody heard Carl gave me permission.
All right. Fair enough. I'll let Xanthi answer the phone now.
Absolutely. I'll start off with, I'm sorry to wake you, but Carl told me to call.
At any time.
as soon as I remembered it.
Right. So if I'm not mistaken,
Arafat, Yasser
Arafat.
Yasser Arafat. He wears his keffiyeh folded over, so it kind of looks like he's going for a kind of folded cowboy hat kind of look for it.
Yeah, I'm familiar with it. I mean, it's a rather iconic image.
It's a nice look.
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken, you wore that same headdress at Tomahawk Pro not too long ago when the Rabid Empire faced the Von Erichs, correct?
Right. Yes. Those so-called sons of Texas who lived in Hawaii up until what was it? This past June.
Yeah, they're down in Austin now.
No, north of San Antonio.
Austin is north of San Antonio.
It's like
Dallas is north of San Antonio.
It's like
so is Denton, for that matter.
It's like
there you go.
San Antonio.
Oh, okay.
They're working us all. They're back. They're
back in Denton.
They're back in Lake. They're back
at Lake Denton.
So-
but yeah, no, I also wore that. There's pictures of it on Facebook somewhere. When 40 Championship Wrestling did an angle with Spoiler 2000 with Chris Hayden supposed to face Spoiler, and I wore that. I wore that as a mockery of Skandar to get under Spoiler's skin when really it was just a giant plot.
Isn't it always
and that
just
was
a plot?
and that's what I always try to say, that that way it looks like everything has been planned.
Right. As it should.
Right, yeah, sure.
Right. Can't have no accidents.
Right. I think my
You
favorite
said-
part about that is the when the pictures got posted, I got a call from Al going, what's going on? I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, I saw pictures of you and Spoiler, and you're wearing wearing the keffia. What's going on? Are you guys trying to get me to come back to wrestling? And that's like, we were running a story, brother. We were running a
Didn't we
story.
just-
But do you want to come back to wrestling?
Right. We actually worked with it. He was at Heroes of Wrestling at one of their like second or third show.
Yeah.
At Southern Junction.
He was
He
for
worked
years-
Britt McKenzie. He did a swanton on Britt McKenzie, and he landed dead center of his gut. And just go. I'm just like, oh God.
Yeah,
Big guy,
the
dude.
very first Heroes of Wrestling, I actually managed Al against Danny Saint.
I remember that. I was there. I didn't work that show, but that's kind of how I got my in, is going to that show.
That was at Southern Junction.
No,
Wasn't it?
first one was at the Armory in Terrell.
Oh.
Mhm.
The
Yeah.
rest of them were at Southern Junction.
Well, I knew that.
Right.
Yeah, so
Which, my life had some chaos that happened like immediately
did it
after that
not?
show. So
yeah.
I didn't end up in a Heroes of Wrestling. I didn't end up at a show in a professional capacity till God, like
Almost the end.
yeah, I became general manager on the last like 3, 4 shows, 5 shows. As a matter of fact, go ahead.
Speaking of your wife, I know you recently got married.
Yes.
I mean,
did,
everybody
right?
knows. he
Oh,
recently
yeah,
got married,
obviously.
Ding-a-ling.
Well, I mean,
Obviously.
some people may not be paying attention. I mean, it is me, and it's not like I'm all that special.
And not everybody pays attention to the hottest power couple in professional wrestling.
Okay, we'll table that comment for a second, but you share a wedding anniversary with myself and Xanthia. So
Oh, do we?
yes,
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
kind of why we weren't able to make the reception, because it was our anniversary, and
That's cool.
plus
that's
we had
quite
we had life going on at that point too. So
well,
congratulations on the nuptials, by the way.
thank you.
So
Thank you very
you
much.
and Brittany
Thank
are
you.
amazing people and great mentors, and just good friends. So we appreciate
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
So we brought up 40 Championship Wrestling and Heroes.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a side project coming with Will here pretty soon, don't you? Will Rigdon. If y'all don't know Will Rigdon, he was the creator of a couple of promotions. But you've got
he
New
was
Millennium.
booking. Well, when he started actively doing things creatively. He ran Wrecking Ball Wrestling when it was in the Lindo Garland Bazaar, and in a span of two shows, doubled attendance his first show, doubled that attendance the second show, and then consistently packed the house every show thereafter. He did a really great job. Unfortunately, he ruffled the feathers for some of the boys, and they went to the owner and said, either he goes or we go. and owner made his decision. But I Will created in Texas New Millennium Wrestling before he did Forney Championship Wrestling. New Millennium had this lovely little run where we were bringing in some notable names. Matt Riviera was coming in, and Matt was helping with connections to people like Jerry Lawler. We had Tracy Brooks from TNA. A number of other notables had come through that locker room in its short run. It went on for, I want to say, like 6 months or so. And then a couple of years later, he brought in Forney Championship Wrestling, and he had a much narrower local focus, and so he was doing that. But then he ran into venue complications, and then he brought in Heroes of Wrestling, and Heroes of Wrestling I thought was really successful, and I think ultimately what ended up causing hiccups for that more than anything else was Will wanted to get back in front of crowds again. He wanted to perform again, and that's he returned with his band, the Sons of Bocephus.
Amazing cover band. Too,
Oh
by the
yeah,
way.
I've seen them live.
Amazing.
I've seen them live, and Will commands
Yeah.
that audience like it's his own.
Well,
he's got so much charisma.
Yeah, he does. Will's kind of like me when he puts his heart and soul into it. Like,
yeah,
you can't get him to shift focus.
Yeah, no, he's doing much better. By the way, that's actually how we started talking about this next venture, Slam Nation. Which was Slam Nation originally was a podcast that he was doing with Dr. Knuckles. Tony Martin. Almost forgot Tony's last name. I apologize, Tony. But Dr. Knuckles, Tony Martin, and Will were doing Slam Nation back when he first started doing his internet radio station.
Right.
As a matter of fact,
he's doing that again now.
Yeah, it's never really stopped.
No.
He's just more active with it.
Yeah.
He'd spent about 5 to 8 years, working in the medical business sector, and
in IT.
In IT, and had recently stepped away from that, and then had his medical difficulties happen.
Yeah.
And then now he and I had been talking pretty actively before the medical hiccup happened, and now he's just got a lot of fire under him for it, and
he does.
I'm excited to work with him again. Brittany's excited to work with him.
I'm excited for the other stuff that he's been talking about also.
Oh yeah, well yeah, but we're not talking about any of that.
We'll let him drop that bomb.
Well, not only that, but it's one of those with the wrestling industry. One of the things that I really it took me some time to learn it, but I've really learned not to talk about things until they're in positive motion.
Right.
If they're not in positive motion, because the last thing I want to do is say, Will's going to be doing this, and have some people go, you're just saying that because you're buddies with Will, or that's not what's going on.
Right.
I'd much rather, I'd much rather be there to see the look on people's faces when he says it, and he's saying because it's actually ink's dry, things are rolling forward. But I mean, with everything that he's got going on with his music, you know, right now, everything else is just conversation. You know, just spitballing ideas.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. I mean,
but
I talk to him at least once a week. So I shoot him a message or give him a call at least once a week. And, especially after the stroke, when I found out he had the stroke,
right,
I gave it a couple of days, and when he was able to like start messaging on Facebook and stuff like that, I reached out to him, asked him how things were going. And, Will, um, when we talk about the brotherhood in professional wrestling, me, you, Will, our relationship, our
mhm,
dynamic, that's a legit brotherhood because
yeah,
like Will, you know, and not to shift focus on me and not to shift focus off of you, but you were there in a supportive capacity at Heroes, and Will gave me the opportunity. I mean, I broke my teeth in NAWA. Okay, so
mhm,
or I cut my teeth. I didn't break my teeth. That happened at MPX, but uh, so Will gave me the opportunity to actually take charge in certain aspects of the show,
mhm,
which was
yep,
very difficult for him because as I've learned, trying to delegate something to somebody and making sure that it's going to get done the way you want it done, really difficult. It's
yeah. No, it
really
is.
difficult. So
And
for him to be able to give me that stride and that confidence and the ability to
mhm,
step into a different part of the market that I really appreciated and loved it. Like I
right.
loved doing production. You were there with that. Um, you know, that's the type of guy that Will is. If he trusts you, he trusts you.
Right, yeah, no,
And,
100%.
and
It's but the other side of that with Will is that Will has always had the question of he trusts you, but he wants to do it his way, and he's the only one that knows how to do it his way. And so letting go of the reins for him is a real exercise in trust.
hmm
And
Yeah, me
that's
too.
definitely yeah, but
Me too.
um, yeah, yeah, I know.
Real quick, we got a question from Chris Hicks. How was your most recent trip to Georgia with Kingdom Pro Wrestling? And can you talk about what it's like to help put over newer companies, much like Shawn does with this podcast?
Well, the trip to Georgia was lovely. The people were great. Kingdom Pro Wrestling is it's a lot of fun. We're doing as a result of because card subject to change as a result of things changing on the owner promoter Jesse Wilkes on at kind of the last um we ended up shifting away from what our original plan was, and so in shifting away with shifting away from the original plan, we kind of went, let's go in this direction and let's have fun with it. So for this foreseeable future, um, I'll be functioning in a babyface general manager capacity, maybe with uh, an occasional ringside management when when there's a company value at stake. Um, but it's going to be a lot of fun. I really enjoy working with Mr. Wilkes. Jesse's a great fellow. I met him through actually um, the Micro Wrestling All Stars, and he was actually handling a lot of the boots on the ground management of the tours that ran in Texas. Uh, and Now, when he started this project, he reached out to me, and I was delighted to be a part of it. Now he's for being a for being 'cause micro wrestling and professional wrestling, while they've got a lot of similarities to them, they're two very different entities. And that's one of the things that uh, Jesse had to experience personally from a show production point. And we both came away very positive, very happy about it. As a matter of fact, before we left the venue. Now, this venue and the town in Georgia, Little Wussy, they don't have a regular wrestling show.
I'm sorry. Did you
And
say Little Wussy?
Little Wussy,
Okay, that's what I thought I heard.
yeah. Um,
Sorry.
and I hope I'm pronouncing it right now. I didn't pronounce it right every time I was on the mic, except for 2 times, and that was because I go and I'm talking to the fans, and then I get out of on the microphone in the ring, and then I get out of the ring. I've done my thing, and then I'm gonna watch this first match because it's it's Alex Bullsdale and Caleb Riley from Texas, and they're wrestling, and I'm watching these lads, and a fan comes up to me and goes, "It's not." I think I called it Ludovici, is what I called it, and he went,
Sounds better than Little Wussy.
I mean, Ludowussy, and it's
Luda.
Ludowussy.
Luda? Like Ludacris? Luda. Okay. All right, I got you.
Yeah, see, my thought is Ludo, the giant orange beast from Labyrinth, but his Italian cousin, Ludovici. That's what Ludovici. That's what. And he comes up to me. He's like, "You didn't say our city's name right." And I was like, "Oh, I'm terrible." And it's loud, so I'm having a hard time hearing. And he's like, Ludo Wussy. And so I'm saying it back to him, and he goes, "Got it." And I was like, "All right." And my brain's going, "All right, well, you know what? Nothing says babyface like being able to go, I know I made a mistake. And so I'm going to fix that mistake right here in front of all of you wonderful people." And then I said it, and they went, "Nope." And I went, "Yeah." And they went, "No." And then finally went, "Little Wussy," and they went, "Yeah." And I went, "This is a strange place."
That's exactly what I just said. Well, you could have hit him with the Hill promo and said it smells like meth and tooth decay. So.
No, it was babyface.
I know, but I'm just saying you could have done the
you can't look at people and go, "Smells like meth and tooth decay," and get a babyface pop out of it. You can't. Or if you have, that place is very proud of its meth and its tooth decay.
That's called mineral wells.
But
so how would you know?
I've been there. I worked at TOP show.
So the town didn't have wrestling in it,
Right.
and the venue obviously had never had wrestling in it. By the time we made it to the end of the first match, the owner of the venue had come to Mr. Wilkes and said, "Here's the next date for your show." And then by the time the show finished, he had another date for the summer. So we did so good that we got a new date, and we got a summer date. And I think if the new date if the new date hits really well, then we'll probably have a date in between, because I want to say it's March 22nd. I got the date wrong 3 times during promos as well.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah, it's numbers. What am I supposed to do with it? I'm dyslexic.
What part of Georgia is this town?
Little Wussy is in southeast Georgia.
Okay, so my very first wrestling match that I ever worked was in Rome, Georgia, the home of Arn Anderson at Georgia. It was Georgia Championship Wrestling, but not the Georgia Championship
Not right.
Wrestling. Yeah, so it was the Outlaw Mud Show Georgia Championship Wrestling because, but yeah, that was northwest Georgia. So
Okay.
that was pretty cool. So there's a little turnaround there.
But yeah, no, that I and in terms of the second half of that question, what's it what's it like, or how do I feel about helping shows start? I've helped a
That's
number
kind
of
of the
shows.
job, ain't it? It's kind of the job, right?
Well,
As a veteran.
Yes and no.
I mean,
and
sometimes they backfire in your face.
Yeah. We watched that this year for me,
Yeah.
and for Brittany.
Mhm.
And
I put a lot of work into that.
yeah, and things didn't go to plan.
Right.
And I think for us the I really enjoy helping, and I really enjoy helping to craft something, and I enjoy the creative input of doing, like, for example, one of the things that we talked about for Kingdom Pro was during the show, Jesse kind of got the feel of, because he was originally thinking about being a hardcore company, but the subtitle of the name of the company was the House of Hardcore, and we both kind of talked about it and went, Tommy
Tommy Dreamer
Dreamer's
might have a
probably
problem
gonna
with that. Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
probably gonna have a thing to say about it.
Yeah.
And I was like, but we could treat the House of Hardcore as just a noble house within the kingdom. And he sat there and he went, that's actually a really good idea. So, we're going to start putting our heads together and talking about what different houses that we can have, houses of nobility within Kingdom Pro Wrestling, have an occasional themed show. And I think initially it's probably, at least my understanding based off of our conversation. Please bear in mind this is brand new, and now we have, well, they say there's many a slip twixt the cup and the lip. So now there may be changes and decisions that shift different, but and I think initially we're doing themed shows to introduce the different houses of nobility within the kingdom, and then after we've gotten all the houses of nobility introduced, then we'll go ahead and we'll go ahead and start running shows in which a match might be this is a House of Hardcore show, or this is whatever title that we have for
Right.
Strong Style, Smash Mouth, Texas Style Wrestling, or what have you.
Right. Right. Okay. I mean, that's an interesting concept. It sounds busy. It sounds very busy to try to and then eventually you're going to have to pit the houses against each other. And
I mean,
are you going to have house champions, or so? That's what I would look at as a
right. No,
creative
and
standpoint.
And those are all those are all very lovely ideas. Might steal those, and B,
you're welcome to them. You don't have to steal them.
And B, part of the idea of, well, let's make the House of Hardcore just a noble house within the kingdom. Well, that
Right.
was how do we fit the original vision into what the company's in what the company is becoming, because nobody likes to go, oh, this was, ignore this is no, just take it down, we weren't doing it this way, especially when it's your first run, when even if it's even if
Kind of
it's
like
quote
the
unquote
LWO.
it's it's not it's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
But you want to incorporate your history into what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
So I mean, it may very well end up being busy. It may just simply be titles that we've got to, make things seem fancier than what they are.
Hey, will you do me a favor? Will you make sure to incorporate a Texas championship in the Georgia promotion?
I
Because
will. I
you're
will.
not a real wrestling promotion if you don't have a Texas championship.
I mean,
That's all there is to it.
I mean,
Sorry.
pretty positive that WWE and AEW have opinions about that.
They're not wrestling companies. They're sports entertainment.
Right. No, I understand.
Sports entertainment.
Look, if anybody at AEW or WWE is listening, Nigel Rabid does not endorse any of the things that Carl Knight just said.
Nor does Carl Knight, for that matter. If anybody's watching, just so you know, I would love to be able to work alongside Rick Knox. Any day of the week. So, now I mean we've got nearly a decade of a friendship, a bond.
Mm-hmm.
Shawn, you've got
decade and a half,
most of his life.
Well, Shawn was Shawn.
I was
Shawn,
his first son.
He was my first son. Shawn, were you at the North Texas Wrestling Alliance shows?
Yes.
Okay.
I was there at your first one too.
Okay. It was the North Texas Wrestling Alliance was my first show.
That's Bigham, right?
Yeah. You're working for Elvis, and this was the time that NTWA had like 5 controlling partners. So you had Elvis, you had Michael Harthcock, you had Big Papa, you had a fella named AJ, and then you had Cody Knight, and all of those guys were controlling owners, and they had brought Will in to do over the house mic commentary.
Oh God, I hate that too.
Well, I mean, now that I've been smart, at the time I didn't know why it was a bad idea. Now that I've been smartened up to it, I'm not too fond of it. But I guarantee you that when Pro Wrestling Federation of Pakistan or Continental Wrestling Entertainment in India, the Great Khali's company, call me and say, we would like you to do live over the PA system commentary, you bet I go, you got it.
Get that money, bro. I mean,
that's
dollars make sense.
Yeah, especially the way my dollars tend to go. They tend to make a lot of sense.
Right.
But
fair change, buddy.
Yeah. You brought up the your NTWA run. How did that even come about? Everybody knows you're breaking in the business was with NTWA, but how did that get brought about?
Okay, so in the real world, Will Riggs and I had worked together at Verizon in the Fiber Solution Center. And when he came in to start doing phone support, because I believe he was a line technician for the fiber centers, and when he came in to do phone support and be an IT tech, they ended up sitting him with me. We found out we were both wrestling fans, and so I'd take a call. When the call would finish, I put myself in the training state, and then we talk about the call for like maybe 5-10 minutes, and then spend the next 30 to 45 minutes talking wrestling, and then go back into the queue and repeat everything all over. And so, we built a friendship based off of wrestling there. When I left Verizon, not long after I left, Will left, but Will went straight to AT&T. So when I got a job at AT&T, I walk onto the floor one day and there's Will. And he's so excited to see me, and there's empty desks all around him. He's like, "Hey man, sit next to me. We got this empty desk in between us to give us some space. But then, when we're not on calls, we can talk wrestling." And so we started doing that. Well, one day he comes in, one Monday morning, he comes in, he's like, man, I'm so stoked. I got a job. I'm doing commentary for an independent wrestling promotion. And he tells me the story that NTWA was doing this thing where you could film with like but this is back before mobile phones were recording. But if you had a handy cam or something like that and you're filming, you could film it if you gave them a copy of the tape.
Mhm.
So he filmed, gave them a copy of the tape, but Will being Will, he's calling the match while he's taping it. So when he gives them the tape, they review the tape and hear this guy doing play-by-play commentary, and they reach out to him and they hire him to do commentary. So he's telling me about this. I'm super excited for him, and I say, "Hey man, if you ever need a Bobby Heenan to go with your Gorilla Monsoon, you let me know." And so they held auditions probably like 2 months later, and I went out there. So that was when I met Jason. As a matter of fact, I'd never seen independent wrestling before in my life. I'd never seen anybody at what we would equate to being, the amateur or the minor league levels for professional wrestling. I'd never seen them do anything, so I'm mystified that this young kid is wrestling a friend of his, and my audition was terrible. We'll just leave it at that. But they, for some reason, they gave us a business card and told us you can come either on this date or this date, and this will be for a live audition. So we went out, we did the show, and I defied all of their expectations. They did not expect me to be worth anything. And literally, when I walked into Elvis's office at the end of the night, he looked at me and said, "Boy, where the hell was this when you came for the audition?" I went, I don't know. I don't know. I'm better in practice than I am in. I'm better in actual function than I am in practice, I guess.
Yeah, I can take a test, but I can't study for it.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
I can't
So-
pass the classes that lead up to it, but I can ace that test. So
right. And so, that's how NTWA came about. And then from NTWA, especially because they shifted around booking responsibilities, and they brought Richard Hill in to do booking for NTWA. And as soon as Richard came in, Richard was like, "The boys in the back hate the over the house mic commentary. We're killing it." Since Will's already running the lights and the sound production from the sound booth, from the commentary booth, he'll keep doing this. We'll keep Nigel as an announcer. But since I was already established with the fans as a heel, we just like, well, we'll just have a heel announcer, which is unique, and it was fun. And as a result of the work that I did there, I started getting opportunities in places like Wrecking Ball Wrestling, and then Tim Sweeney's what was it, Garland Wrestling Federation, and then that's how I got into Killer Tim Brooks NAWA, and I kept picking up little play. That's how I ended up working for Shooter Ronnie Nolan Gossett for Universal Championship Wrestling. I was doing that, and as as disaster fraught as that was, it was in a lot of ways a really good experience, because I got a chance to meet, work with, and rub elbows with a lot of people that I never thought I'd even have a chance to sit in a locker room with, let alone go up and say, "Excuse me, Mr. Douglas, Shane, sir, can I get your information? Hello, Mr. Dreamer. Can I have your information? Um, Now, actually, it was through Universal Championship Wrestling that I met Charlie Haas. The first time I ever met and worked with Charlie as an announcer, and I met Rob Terry that way, and a bunch of other. But George South, I saw George South just this weekend at WrestleCade. We passed each other in the hall and chit chatted for a brief, like 2-3 minutes. Um, God, he had a hell of a hardcore match with Joey Janela for, I believe it's was it AML out in North Carolina. Oof, God, talk about blood, sweat, and tears. Incredible. Um,
He's one of those
but
guys that doesn't have to do that anymore, but he still does.
yeah, no, absolutely, and God bless him for doing it. He's a wizard. He's very, very crafty. Um, but it was in this and doing all of this announcing, and I'd gotten a lot of good announcing momentum going. But then when I started reaching out to promotions in other parts of the state that I wanted to work, I was getting a lot of, we already have an announcer, but thank you so much for reaching out.
Right.
And I said to myself, well, I'm not in this to take anybody's job. I don't want to. I'm not here to come in and go. You don't need that guy. You want me. And so I started to think, well, what else? What else can I? Because we're talking about, and this is probably my first 6-9 months in the business. Wow. And I'm
So you're
filling up my.
you are approaching everything with kit gloves too.
Yeah, well, especially when you don't, especially when you've never been, because as you probably heard, I came into the wrestling business all the wrong way. I didn't go through a training school. I didn't even go through broadcasting school. I'm blessed with a gift of gab, a good voice, and a quick wit, and that was really helpful for commentary.
Yep.
And my time in theater made it really easy for me to do a good job with announcing. And I've got a sense of that theatrical drama to know some good ways, maybe not always the right way, but know some good ways to introduce people and to make it sound and seem and feel bigger than the venue that we're in. And was very blessed in that, but it wasn't getting me the traction that I wanted or needed to be able to turn this into a career. Especially given the fact that in a lot of cases, announcers and commentators, especially in that time, were not very highly valued. As a matter of fact, I know the owner of one promotion that was very, very popular here in Texas at one point, told me flat out, I don't need to worry about an announcer. I can pluck an announcer from the audience.
I've heard the same thing about referees too. Which
Yeah, and that
I mean,
all of those
honestly, you can,
you
but
cannot.
when you
No, you cannot.
well, I mean,
You
in
cannot pull.
theory,
You no,
in
no, you can't.
theory,
You can't. No, you can't even in theory. And the reason why you can't in theory is that to be the third man, you have to understand what's going on in the business.
yeah,
And if you're being plucked from the crowd, you better be a plant.
right.
There's no two ways about it.
Ooh, I want to do that. I want to do that so bad. That's a great idea. I'm stealing it. Actually,
All
can
right.
I have it? Can I have the idea?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's too late. You stole it. Yeah.
Oh, shit.
But and the same with an announcer, except that people seem to think that having a microphone is all you need.
No,
But
no.
you have to know how to use the microphone. You have to know how to talk into the microphone. Some people are great at it. Some people are not. You know, and you know,
I'm familiar with the not part. Like when we did our first show, you know, we had Keith booked to do the announcing, and he had gotten sick, and so I had to do it.
yeah,
So
it's
I mean, it
it's
wasn't. I mean,
gives you a whole new respect when
God,
you're
yes,
on the
dude.
spot.
Oh yeah.
Oof.
I mean, I did okay for the first time around, but it's not anything that I would look forward to doing again
Right.
unless I had to. You know, it's
Yeah.
not
No.
something that
Absolutely.
I'm your guy. No, I'm not your guy. It's just
Yeah.
like, you know, we got about. You want to hang out with us for a few more minutes because we got
Yeah.
about 5 minutes left. We're slotted. I say we're slotted. I can end this whenever I want, but
End it now.
bye, Nigel. No, but you know, bringing that up. The first time I met you, I didn't mean to cut you off from your announcer story and stuff, but the first time I met you was at um, the benefit show for Chris Knowlton and his family before he had passed away.
Right.
And
Right.
I'd seen you
the one where Chris
punch
popped me
you
at
in the
the end.
mouth because you earned
Yep.
it. You deserved
Yep.
it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But I think the first time I actually saw you was at Crash's place out in Seagoville. Maybe a week or two before that. I can't remember. But it was the first time I met Jason Silver. It was the first time I met Alan Payton. You might have been there. But when I met you out there in Arlington at that benefit show, I had told you that, you know, we had a long conversation. I think we spoke for at least 30 minutes or so, 30 to 45 minutes. And I told you my story and where I came from and, you know, what I wanted to do in the business. And I even, you know, laid out that I wanted to be a manager. And you're like, not everybody can do what I do. And I found out the hard way. Not that easy.
No,
I mean, you can
and
like I can go on Facebook and put somebody over, but when you're in front of a crowd, one, it's got to be the right crowd. It literally has to be the right crowd. Like when I did the gimmick with horsepower in Waco, it worked. But when I came to Red River, it didn't work. When I did it at it was Red River, and I think maybe MPX, I can't remember. But
I think
it didn't
I think you
work.
were.
It didn't work because people don't know me as a manager. They know me as
you were
Carl, the beloved referee.
And you were hampered by that. And if I recall correctly, one of the places that you were working babyface, because horsepower was babyface.
Right. But down in Waco, we were heel.
Right.
And it worked.
But
and you were at that show. You were at that show.
It's easier to be a manager as a heel than it is to be as a babyface.
That's why there's not that many babyface managers.
That's right. You know, and you know, there is a mindset and a temperament for being a manager that some people just aren't set for. And one of the things, if any aspiring managers that might be listening, any current managers who are listening, or, you know, wanting to pick my brain on something, this is probably the best piece of advice that I can give you is you're not there to put yourself over. If you're drawing attention to yourself, you will never make it beyond what we're doing on the indies. Now, your whole purpose is to, if you're a heel, you make your talent look more evil, look more dangerous, look more competent, and you're there to make the baby face shine brighter, be a bigger hero, be that beacon of goodness. Now, and yeah, it's not about putting yourself over. There's a time and a place for it. But if you're drawing the eye to you instead of to what's going on in the ring, you're already messing yourself up. You're messing the talent up. It's probably one of my favorite I messed up stories that I tell. And Carl, actually, you're in it.
I remember that story vividly.
So, Shawn, we're working a show that I had done the booking for Chris Germany at the Oak Islands Brewery, and I was managing Rodney Mack against JD Griffey, and I'm kind of being myself, but I'm also feeding into the crowd a little bit more than I normally do. And at one point, while Rodney has got a headlock cinched in on JD,
Yeah,
I'm turning around. I'm turning around and I'm arguing with a table of like 7 to 12-year-olds.
Yeah.
And they're just yelling at me and I'm yelling at them. And I start hearing behind me, Nigel, Nigel, Nigel. I turn around and Carl is leaning out so far. It's like this. And I'm looking at Carl and he goes, Rodney says, shut the fuck up.
Yep.
Can I swear? I just did.
You just did. We just picked up a sponsor, but whatever.
Yeah, God bless.
But hey, you had a lag when you said it, so we're good.
So I hear Carl say that, and my eyes immediately snap to Rodney, and Rodney is.
Yeah, he's like, not now, not now. He's like, because what it was is Nigel was trying to get that heat, but we didn't need the heat.
Right.
We didn't need the heat because Rodney was on top, and they were in a rest hold. They were really
and not. I'm gonna be honest. It wasn't even. I was trying to get that heat. I was feeding into the energy of the crowd. I was paying more attention to what the crowd was doing than to what was going on in my job. And my job is to pay attention to what's going on in the ring. We get done with it. We go to the back, and Rodney is immediately dressing me down. Well, he's laying into me, and JD's upset with me, and I'm just like, at this point, I'm this was what, 3 years ago?
3 or 4 years ago.
About 3 years ago.
I want to say it was
4 years ago.
It was before COVID.
Yeah, but it was right before COVID.
Yeah. It was like November or something like that. It was
November.
It was just cold enough to be like, ugh.
It was November. It was November the 19th because the next show.
It was
November. Well,
freaking January.
It was November in 2019 because the next one was like summerish.
Yeah.
Of 2020. And Rodney's laying into me, and I'm at this point. I'm 10 years in. 4 years ago, I'm 10 years into the business, and I've never had this piece of criticism given to me. And I'm not saying that I've never had criticism, but I've never had this piece. And I've worked a lot with a lot of different people, and it's no fun having Rodney Mack lay into you. It really isn't, especially when you got a lot of care and respect and love for the man, and he's laying into you because you did something wrong. And so I am doing my best to keep it together, but I'm all right.
Hey, at least he didn't have you up against the wall with his hands around your throat.
I mean, there's that.
But that's WWE.
I managed to get myself calm enough to say, thank you for this. I've never received this criticism, and I really appreciate you educating me on this. I am so very sorry.
Sometimes that's just stuff you got to hear.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And if I can give any other piece of advice to any manager or wannabe manager who is listening, criticism, especially constructive criticism, may not come gently. It may come in the heat of the moment because people are frustrated about things, and you have to be receptive to it. If you're not receptive to it, if you cop an attitude or if you blow it off, you will miss out on what will open you up to more opportunities and open you up to better things in the business. And I really feel that me being open and receptive to Rodney in that has led to Rodney wanting to work with me in other places because Rodney knows Rodney can say things to me regardless of whether or not it's nice and sweetly or gruff and angry, and he knows I'm going to take it to heart because he knows I understand that what he's giving me, no matter how it's being delivered, is done with the goal of my professional betterment and the betterment of the quality of the performance that we put forward for the fans. At the end of the day, that's what it is.
Yeah. Let me piggyback on that real quick because I had a similar situation at MPX with Jamie Aller, and I was still, I wouldn't say that I was green, but I was still fresh in the business and still learning, and I was working in a different environment with different levels of talent because there for a while I was only working in AWA.
Right.
And then I started branching out because of the podcast and stuff. And Jamie was always hypercritical of me, and I took offense to it because I didn't know where it was coming from.
Right.
Because there were times where he would really lay into me, and I was just thought he was being a dick or a jerk. Excuse me, being a jerk.
You foul mouth.
I know, man. I need somebody standing behind me, smacking me in the head every time I cuss. Don't.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't say that.
Don't touch me. I got kids for that.
That's a job a lot of people would go.
I know,
I'm
right?
here for it.
I'm here to smack Carl in the back of the head every time he cusses. It's just all day.
I do that job for free.
47 concussions by the end of the day. But no, I mean, it's one of those things that, the way that I look at it is approach is everything for me.
Right. But sometimes approach, you can't.
Yeah.
And let's talk about Jamie real quick. Jamie's got a great mind.
Yeah, he does. He's amazing.
It doesn't
referee,
matter.
He's a good manager. He's a good writer. He's a good, everything that he does is he
does a great job with I met him first when he was a referee, and I rather took to him. I'm very fond of him. And then when he come back from a hiatus, he came back as a manager and had his run as a manager. But Jamie's a very passionate person. He cares about the product as a whole. And sometimes, sometimes his delivery is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But it's that way for a lot of people in the business, and a lot of us get frustrated and deliver things badly because we're passionate, and it's not. It's not an excuse; it's an explanation. But with that explanation is one of your jobs as someone who is receiving this criticism is to learn how to listen to the criticism and later filter whether or not the person was being intentionally, I don't like you, rude, or whether the person was just passionate and expressing themselves the best way that they know how to in that emotional state.
It's sometimes it's hard to see that difference too. It really is,
it's very hard.
Especially when you've got a chip on your shoulder about that person.
Yeah, absolutely. Because absolutely,
every time Jamie would come at me, I know in the bottom of my heart it was coming from a passionate outsider looking in, saying,
right.
But because I already had that that chip on my shoulder that he's just being a jerk. Like I heard everything he said. I didn't listen, but I heard everything he said. There's a difference. There's a big difference between listening and hearing.
There is 100%.
Yeah,
100% different.
One of the things that I truly appreciate about Jamie and yourself and some other guys like Charlie Haas is they're not gonna sugarcoat it if it was bad. Like I've seen Charlie flip his lid in the middle of a match. like nobody's listening to me. I'm like he worked a match with Johnny O'Mara at Tucson Pro, and he was trying to relay to him to take an arm drag, and like he told me to go tell Johnny, so I went over and told Johnny, I'm like, hey, catch this arm drag, and he didn't do it, and then Charlie's like, catch this arm drag, and he didn't do it, and then then Johnny took it as, oh, I'm supposed to give Charlie an arm drag. And it didn't. So Johnny went to grab it, and Charlie blocked. I mean, he wrapped his arm around. You were there. He wrapped his arm around the top rope. Johnny hit the ground, and then Charlie just stomped him in the gut. I was like, okay, message received. Sometimes, in that moment, that's how we learn sometimes.
Yeah, no,
and it sucks to have to learn that way. It really does suck to have to learn that way.
But especially in the ring. Especially in the ring, when your opponents and your opponent is a veteran and trying to give you
not only a veteran but a WWE a WWE alumni, a legend,
hands down,
a national NCAA national champion from Seton Hall,
right?
It's not just a vet, it's
Charlie.
A guy. It's
Charlie F. and Haas. Yeah. No, absolutely.
So,
and
I miss Charlie. I miss working with Charlie. Damn,
I miss Charlie a lot. I miss Charlie. But I saw pictures up on his Facebook recently.
Oh, he looks great.
He's looking great. He's looking great. Amazing. I'm really happy for him.
He sounds good too. He sounds in a better headspace too.
Yeah,
I know that last podcast interview that he did, where he got ripped to shreds on Facebook and stuff like that. So I was like, man, I know this guy. And y'all are being like harsh just to be harsh, I guess. But one people, it's what culture does today. It really is. And two, it is unfortunate, but it's a truism that is one of the prices for the position that he has earned for himself in professional wrestling. He has made it to the mountaintop. He was a world tag champion, and dare I say, one of the best of his generation, if not the best of the generation. Oh my God!
With him and Shelton.
Oh absolutely.
I personally thought that Charlie Haas was going to be the next big thing. And that's actually a funny conversation.
He had the potential.
That's one of the conversations that I had with Charlie when we first started working. I thought that he was going to be the next guy, and I thought that to the point where before I got into the wrestling business, and I'm playing, I'm bringing my PlayStation Portable to work with me and playing, Raw versus SmackDown. Raw. Yeah, SmackDown versus Raw, and I think it was 2007. Look, you're the fellow with a podcast, and I'm the Mark.
Yeah.
So, but. Literally what I was doing is I set Charlie Haas up to be my top guy over everybody else on that roster. Charlie was the guy that looked like he was poised to go all the way to the top and stay there. And while I love the time that I had working with him, and you know, the amount of knowledge that I gained just being around him. And unfortunately, I'm terrible at asking questions. So I didn't get as much knowledge from Charlie as I probably could have slash should have.
Right.
But now, for all the value that that's brought to my life, and all the value that it's brought to my career, you know, if I could give that all up so that Charlie could have that spot and be at the top like that, yeah, in a heartbeat, in a
Yeah.
heartbeat.
Right there
Wow.
with you, man.
Now,
We got a question here from Chris Hicks. Can you give us a hint for the next book on Story Time with Nigel?
Well, right now, in terms of chapter books, I'm reading Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol, which I'd never read before. I was actually really
That's a
excited
good
about
book.
doing it. Yeah, um it's really impressive how fast paced. It's almost as if Dickens wrote it with the intention of eventually this is going to be a teleplay or a film, because there's really very little that's been removed out of it for the purposes of time. It moves really very quickly along. Um, and I'm enjoying that. So, and that one's poised. Um, the chapters are a bit long, and so instead of having, you know, two, because I mean, when I say a bit long, I mean, you know, anywhere from, you know, 30, 40 pages in cases of some of these chapters. Instead of reading, you know, it for that long and making, you know, a 1 hour episode, what I started doing is, well, I'll break the episodes, I'll break the story times up roughly, you know, 8, 9-ish pages, because it's roughly about 95 pages long, the story. And I've timed it out to where I will read the last the last entry, the last chapter of story or of Christmas Carol on Christmas Eve. So that's really for me. That's really exciting. In terms of picture book, I don't know. Britt had just ordered a series of Christmas story time picture books that we're going to be doing. And because of how busy and how crazy things have been since the wedding, and you know, what with everything with Thanksgiving and all, we've been doing a lot more of these are stories from the archives that, for whatever reason, never got uploaded to the YouTube page, and we're digging them up and we're loading them up now.
Go ahead and give everybody that information so they can like dig into this.
Oh yeah, you can find
Because
me
you did
on,
it, you did it for several weeks, or like you still do it, but
I
like,
still
it started
well,
with COVID, right?
it started with COVID. It actually started from a post of referee Bones. He had
Bones. I love Bones.
Bones had put up a post after someone had shared. I think it was like a workout routine or something. A wrestler had posted drills or something, and he shared it out and was like, post your drills and your workout routines here. Let's keep this stuff going. And so I saw it and chuckled about it and said, what am I gonna do? You know, how to insult your friends and family? And Felix Cervantes, he saw that and he says, actually, Nigel, with your voice, you really ought to read you really ought to read children's books. And we had a laugh about it. And then I thought about it and I said, there are a couple of children's books that I grew up with that I can't find in Barnes and Nobles and can't really find easily, and especially not cheaply on Amazon. And that was Graham Oakley's The Church Mouse series. Beautifully illustrated. Mr. Oakley used to be a background set painter for the BBC, and so he did these such glorious, loving illustrations for this series that I just blown away by it, and it's got such lovely wit, and of course, very British. And so I said, you know what, I'll read that and see, I'll just I'll just pop on, one night, and so I popped on one night and read it and got a really nice response from people. It's, during COVID, nobody can do anything. Everybody's kind of ratcheted down. And, here I am reading not just children's stories, but children's stories that most people haven't heard of. As a matter of fact, I haven't had anyone that I've seen respond to anything that any of the Church Mice books with I remember this from my childhood. And so it was a delight to share that. And so I started sharing the rest of the series. And then I was like, well, let me, my mom used to, she used to have um, she used to be the director of a Montessori school. And so there's these, odd little children's books floating around our library at home. And so, read some of those. And then I went to Barnes and Nobles and started picking up, and I've ordered stuff off of Amazon. And right now I've probably got about two and a half like 10-foot shelving units full of children's books and
Oh,
piles
wow.
of children's books.
Are you going to try to
to-
monetize this?
Well,
It sounds like you should.
we've
Patreon
got
would
it.
be a good way.
The problem with, because I've thought about doing Patreon, but the problem with doing Patreon is what's the value add for people signing up for Patreon?
Yeah.
What can I, because it's also it was so easy to do story time when life was shut down.
Right. Yeah.
And now it's much harder, especially with we got wrestling going on. We've got I'm trying to I'm trying to get myself into better shape. So I'm spending time at the gym, and then you got to pay for things in life. So
Mhm.
you got to spend time at the day job, and now
Life
then
ain't
you also,
cheap.
right, and then you also got to factor in other things like um, I'm a very big film buff. I enjoy going to films. I like going to the cinema, and so how to I got to figure out how to balance that in. Um, and I can't tell you how many times Brittany, she's been amazing as my social media manager for story time since I've brought it back.
Right.
She edits all of my stories. She puts it all together with the intro. Intro put together by Jesse Wilkes. If anybody is looking for any video graphics or anything like that they want to play at the beginning of things, like for example, if you want something to play at the beginning of your show, reach out to Jesse, who is very reasonable in his pricing. Um, and she puts all of that together, and I can't tell you how many times she'll look at me and go, Nigel, I need both Saturday and Sunday's chapter book readings, and I need at least two. I'd prefer 3 or 4 picture book readings. I've got some backups that I can do if we're running into some time problems, but I got to get the chapter books. And I can't tell you how many times I've gone, oh yeah, no. As a matter of fact, it dropped about 2 hours ago. The reading for the second part of A Christmas Carol. I guess technically be the fourth part.
Right.
But anyway, this weekend, second part. But yeah, no, I want to monetize it, but I've got to figure out what's valuable because I don't want to be one of those people that hey, give me money to do this thing that I'm already giving away for free,
Right.
and then not give you something back for a donation.
Right.
Um,
Right.
and I got to figure out the right way to, and then I got to figure out the balance of time.
Yeah. That's the hard
Because
part. Really,
yeah,
finding the time is one of the
right.
hardest things to do.
If only all of my creative endeavors could be funded with money that wasn't mine, and was
God.
plenteous,
Yeah.
and had no strings attached.
Yeah. I'm right there with you
Uh,
on that one, man.
yeah, no, and I said no strings attached because the last thing I need is to sit here on a podcast and have old Scratch pop up from hell and go, so you want money? It's like, yeah, no,
No.
not today, Baphomet,
Yeah.
not
Well,
today.
what's the YouTube channel again? I cut you off.
The YouTube channel is Storytime with Nigel. We
Okay.
also have an Instagram channel. The Instagram channel was, and we've fallen away from it. It was also doing poetry readings as part of its reels, and we do have plans because I've got the first several letters of C.S. Lewis's screw tape letters dramatically read, and we're just trying to find the right um, AI artwork. Um, I mean, I'd love to be able to afford an actual proper artist to do the art for it, and just have that art there in the background as you listen to Screw Tape narrate a letter to his nephew Wormtongue. But uh, you know, if you're not familiar with Screw Tape letters, it is a wonderful wonderful bit of satire. Um, as a devil talking to his nephew about his responsibilities in acquiring souls for the cause. Um, uh, and uh, and we, I need to stop saying that I want to do it, and I just need to hurry up and do it. But we also want
Yeah.
to start doing. We want to start doing more mature readings. Not like naughty, inappropriate mature, but
Oh damn! I was looking forward to listening to you and Brittany read 50 Shades of Grey.
look, I'm gonna be completely and totally honest. It'd probably just end up being me. Yeah. I'm not gonna make her. I'm not gonna make her voice. Yeah, more. But my initial is like, for example, the first thing I want to do is I want to do I want to do Simon R. Green's Tales from the Dark Side, or his
Oh, okay.
not Dark Side, Night Side, his Night Side series,
Oh, okay.
and read some of those um, uh, because they're a wonderful bit of modern noir fantasy,
Okay.
and um, personally, I think they'd be a brilliant basis for like an HBO series where in between each novel, every time he starts up a new with the exception of the first novel, every time that he starts up a new novel, the beginning of the novel is him resolving a case that he's been working on, the hero John Taylor. And so I was thinking it'd be neat if in between each book, each season is in between each book, and each season is the different cases that he's solved on his way to the next book in the series, so that you don't really interfere with the flow of the novels, but you can still have fun, bizarre, entertaining stories. Emphasis on bizarre.
Sounds interesting. When you start that, shoot me a message.
I will.
I'm not a reader, but I do like to be entertained. So I don't have the attention span to read. It's like ADHD is a bitch to have
It's
sometimes.
it's no fun. It's no
No,
fun. There
it's
is
not.
there's a reason why a lot of my reading has ratcheted down to mostly just story time.
Right.
Um, you know, but for example, to give you an idea, the main character in this series, he is a private eye of uncertain parentage. He knows who his father is, doesn't know who his mother is. He's got this secret gift that allows him to find anything that he's looking for. But the minute that he uses his gift, these faceless monsters that have been chasing him his entire life start to appear. Now, this only occurred in a place called the Night Side, which is referred to as the secret dark heart of London, where it's always 3 a.m. When he
That
leaves the
sounds
Night
horrible.
Side, oh yeah, no, it's a fascinatingly rough place to be. Um,
Right.
but the like for example, uh, one of his best mates is a fellow named Alex, and Alex is the owner and uh, uh, the descendant of the previous owner of the oldest bar in the night side. And it's a matter of rumor that Merlin himself lives underneath the bar floor. And just things like that. You just kind of
Right.
crisscross into all sorts of different parts of like for example Arthurian legend, pop culture legend. I mean, there are Doctor Who references. You actually in one pub in the night side, you actually the character actually sees the Doctor across the pub. um, and the fellow Simon R. Green, he writes so prolifically that the night side has served as kind of an intersection for all of his novels. So you see characters or hear talk of characters from every single novel he's ever written or ever will write.
Wow.
Cross into it. It's brilliant, and I love it.
It sounds it, and like I said, I've never been intrigued about something I've never heard of before until now. So I'm giddy to see it going. Nigel, man, I hate to cut you off, but it's like 10 o'clock. Um, what's next for you? Where are you going to be? Where can people find you?
Um, my next wrestling show is going to be at Texas Style Wrestling. You can
TSW.
find. I'm sorry.
I said TSW. That's
Yes,
fun show.
TSW. If you want to get tickets, you can go to TSW Plus. That's plus.com, or you can download the app from the Apple App Store or from the Google Play Store.
Mhm.
Just look for TSW PLUS. Not only can you get your tickets that way, but you can get access to exclusive content, streaming, that sort of thing.
You can see me on there too,
Yeah.
somewhere. Somewhere.
uh, and then that'll be as far as wrestling, that'll be it for me for the rest of the year.
Okay.
My next gig after that is I'll be at Lufkin, Texas for Tomahawk Pro Wrestling on the 6th. Very excited to return to Lufkin. Tomahawk has been really very good to me, and I really appreciate their their communication. Chris Ball, Cody, Larry Wade, they've all just been really wonderful. I'm looking forward to continuing to work with them, and I can't wait to show people what we're going to do. It's going to be a lot of fun. Um,
Okay.
so those are the next two big things that I've got. And of course, story time with Nigel, you can find drops at 8 o'clock Central Standard Time on YouTube every single night with a simul broadcast on Facebook on my Facebook page, Storytime with Nigel. And of course, you can also follow that over on Instagram. As you can see from the legend here, you can find me on Instagram at the Nigel Rabid. You can find me on X at Nigel Rabid. And if you're interested in any of these strange little shenanigans that Brittany and I get ourselves up to, you can check out our TikTok page, Brit and the Brit.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah, I'm new to TikTok, so I'm going to definitely have to dig into that.
Yeah, Brit and the Brit is a lot more silliness. It's where we've done a lot of our cupcake reviews for Sprinkles cupcakes,
Oh,
which
okay.
we need to get
I've seen some
back
of
to
those. I've
doing.
seen some of the outtakes from that. I've seen
Yes,
some of the outtakes that y'all
some of the
posted.
outtakes are pretty.
Those are funny. Those are hilarious.
Yeah,
Outtakes
it's
are
a lot
better
of fun
than
to do.
anything. Outtakes are better than anything.
Oh yeah, no, it's. I mean, I still think that the fake Pixar outtakes that they used to do at the end of Pixar movies better
Yeah.
than that doesn't matter how good the Pixar movie was, the outtake was better than the movie. I'm so sad they took that away from us.
Yeah.
But
Well, probably
it is
because it cost
extra
$1 million
work.
to make them. You know.
Well, it's I was gonna say it is extra work. So bless them for doing it, but I
Right.
miss
Right.
it. I miss it.
Well, hey man, we're gonna put you back in the green room for a second while we tell
All right.
everybody goodbye, and then we'll touch base with you here in just a second.
All right.
All right, man. Nigel, I
Thanks for
appreciate it. Thank you very much. I
thank
know
thank
when
you.
we
Thank
did
you for
this.
having me on.
Well, I know when we did this before, we had a tremendous amount of fun. You know, with the offshoots and the call out and just
Yeah.
all the projects that we were doing together. I I learned a lot from you in that time frame. So, Shawn, go ahead and put him in the green room. And guys, we really appreciate you. Make sure that you are paying attention to Facebook every Thursday at noon. That's when our next guest will drop. For everybody that caught the live, we greatly appreciate you being around. Sticking around for an extra 30 minutes. For everybody that's watching the replay on Facebook, on YouTube, quite possibly I might put it on Twitch if I get enough followers to make it worth my while. Greatly appreciate that as well. Shawn, you got anything you want to say?
Nope.
No?
Nothing I could add.
Nothing?
You stole all the work.
Oh, my bad.
Like you're stealing Nigel's ideas.
He stole my idea, and I told him he could have it.
Then
Anyway.
it's not stealing if you're giving.